Well, welcome to the fall 2023 semester. You know, there isn't a better time on a college campus than the beginning of a fall semester. All of the excitement with the new students that are on our campus, the large number of new faculty this year that we have coming onto our campus. It's really hard not to get caught up in a wave of movement on this campus. And once again, we come into a new academic year riding on a wave of successes. In fact, in just a little bit, Dr. Savoie is going to talk about a lot of those successes in his address. But one of the biggest successes we experienced this year, and it's something I want to talk about, was the completion of our 2023-2028 strategic plan, Vision Louisiana. As most of you are aware, that planning process was extensive and it was exhaustive. It spanned 2 years of data collection, synthesis, and analysis. And through workshops, surveys, town hall meetings, and numerous committees that involved hundreds upon hundreds of our faculty, staff, students, alumni, and community members, over 5,500 independent data points were collected. They were compiled and they were analyzed during that very first year of that process. That was the basis for the strategic framework that we presented to you last year at the State of the University address. And we're not going to go into the details of that today, but that framework reflects not only our values, it reflects our enduring commitments and the 4 primary strategic priorities that arose in the process, in that planning process. During this past academic year, again, hundreds of our personnel, faculty, students, you, worked to populate those strategic priorities with measurable objectives that truly reflect our vision as a university. Again, that vision and those priorities are a product of input from all constituents. It's your plan, and you'll see the detail in that new strategic plan when we unveil it and go public in the next couple of weeks. Our challenge this year is to operationalize the plan. Without execution, a plan is just a plan. Many of our current successes that we will talk about today and that we enjoy today are the results of operationalizing our prior strategic priorities. Those priorities and successes, in turn, make us exactly who we are today. We have a responsibility at this point to our current students, to ourselves, and to generations to come, to set this new plan in motion and position this extraordinary university for our next phase of transformations. We'll be working this year with each vice president to develop operational plans within their areas, and many of you, again, will be called to serve. Serve. It's your plan. And we look forward to working with every single one of you through this forthcoming year. None of our current successes would have been possible without a plan or without great leadership to see that plan through. We've been very fortunate over the decades to have great leaders at the helm of our university. The current successes that we celebrate, while they are your successes, are largely the product of a vision. And that vision was successfully implemented. It's my great honor at this time to introduce the person who brought that vision and who has led us through one of the most significant transformations in the history of our school, our president, Dr. E. Joseph Savoie.
Thank you, Jamie. That was pretty nice. You don't say those things to me on a regular basis. I appreciate it. Well, good morning to everyone. I want to welcome you to this year's State of the University address. Before we begin, though, I'd like to join Dr. Hebert in thanking all of those who worked on our new strategic plan. It wasn't an easy task, and important work rarely is. But the contributions of so many of you brought to the table brought clarity and thoughtfulness to a process and it was essential to the plan's completion. Throughout today's address and in the coming year, you'll hear the words service, vision, and leadership quite a bit. And nothing represents those tenets more than our new strategic plan and all the people who brought it to the finish line. So let's thank all these people for helping us with the strategic plan. Thank you. Now, in addition to expressions of gratitude, I'd like to begin this morning's presentation with a brief but significant announcement. So I ask for your continued attention. You know, speculation about leadership changes often accompany the start of an academic year, and I'd like to address one particular change this morning. Effective Monday, August the 21st, as part of a new workforce training program, all members of the University Council will be required to wear uniforms during working hours. Now, these uniforms represent the spirit of service that you've all come to expect from the university's leadership. And if successful, this program will be expanded to deans and department heads as well. University presidents are exempt, but statues of university presidents are not. All kidding aside, I was pleased that so many of you joined us for our Founding Day Ice Cream Social on July the 14th. This event kicked off a year-long celebration of the 125th anniversary of our university. It was held appropriately on a spot that might be called the university's cradle, a corner of the 25 acres that made up our original campus. In the beginning, that's all we had, 25 acres of barren sugarcane field and a boundless dream. There were no buildings, no faculty, no curriculum, and no strategic plan. We had nothing more than the hopes of a community that saw education as a gateway to what was possible, as an invitation to better days ahead. In the corner of those 25 acres, our first president, Dr. Edwin Lewis Stevens, planted oak trees. But trees weren't the only things that found a home in that soil or grew on and from that spot. So did service. So did vision, so did leadership. And as a result, so did progress for this region and for Louisiana. The tenets of service, vision, and leadership are as much a part of our history as oak trees, and that's why we chose them as a theme for this anniversary year. They are threads that tie the beginning of our story to the present day. We inherited them from those who came before, and we will leave them for those who come after. Throughout our 125-year history, these threads have, through the lives and experiences of our more than 146,000 alumni, been carried around the world. They've been woven through the work of our faculty and staff. They are firmly in the grasp of today's students who will take them to places we cannot yet imagine. And they have defined and driven the progress that we'll discuss during today's address. This semester, our 126th year begins. These threads encircle another 25-acre tract of land, a portion of which includes a new health sciences campus that will welcome students for the first time. With the opening of this campus, history repeats itself. As you may remember, in the past year, we acquired the former site of Our Lady of Lourdes Regional Medical Center, 25 acres of land plus buildings. Starting next week, the fourth floor of one of those buildings will provide classroom space for 220 upper-level nursing students. Over time, the new campus will become a center for health sciences education, research, and practice. It will enable us to increase the number of nursing and health science students we enroll and graduate, addressing a serious shortage of healthcare workers. It will enable us to expand degree programs, to enhance existing partnerships with health providers, to create collaborations with professional schools and health systems, and deepen relationships with biomedical and biopharmaceutical firms. and it will strengthen Acadiana's reputation as a medical services hub. The arrival of students and faculty on the campus opens a new era for healthcare in the region, but it also provides a snapshot of the service, vision, and leadership that are the themes of our anniversary celebration. Consider this. The university is the region's leading producer of nurses and health professionals. In fact, we are the largest producer of nurses in the state. And as such, it's our responsibility to address the challenges that face this industry. This campus will allow us to significantly increase the number of compassionate healthcare professionals that we graduate. But there's another aspect of the development of our health sciences campus that mirrors the story of our creation, and that's philanthropy. 125 years ago, the location of the new Southwestern Louisiana Industrial Institute was up for grabs. New Iberia, Scott, and Lafayette were among the towns vying for it. But the promise of 25 acres of land from the Girard family, $8,000 in cash from local government and local citizens, and a dedicated tax for the institution's support, Lafayette had the leg up. The point is this: the generosity of this community has been essential to our growth and success since the very beginning. And that's the case with the new health science campus as well. Renovations to the fourth floor of what's now the 501 building, where students will soon take classes, were made possible by the largest gift the university has ever received, an historic $20 million from LHC Group and the Myers family that we announced 2 years ago. Relocating faculty and students to the health sciences campus and doing so slightly more than 1 year after we finalized the purchase would not have been possible without these private dollars. Realizing this vision for our health sciences education is an example of philanthropy in action, and we remain grateful to the LHC Group and the Myers family for their investment in the university and Acadiana. With us today is Mr. Brock Myers, representing LHC Group and the Myers family. Brock, would you please stand and let us recognize you? Thank you, Brock. Now, private dollars are important. They enable the university to meet its most essential needs by offsetting limits in state funding. Donors provide scholarships for students and endowed support for faculty members while enhancing the university's commitment to community service. Now, these areas are among the pillars of our Universities Together campaign, the largest comprehensive fundraising initiative that we've ever undertaken. It launched publicly 2 years ago and aims to raise $500 million by its conclusion. To date, I'm happy to report that the campaign has brought in $401 million. That's a work back and forth, too. In the fiscal year that ended this past June, the campaign raised $40 million, the second largest annual fundraising total in university history. I'm very grateful to the donors, alumni, and friends who have contributed to this campaign. Their generosity and that of future supporters will enable the campaign to reach its finish line and will help shape the future of the university for years to come. We have with us representatives of our foundation, the Alumni Association, and the Raging Cajun Athletic Foundation boards. Would you all please stand and be recognized? Thank you for your service to the university. I'm also pleased that we have with us today, representing the Board of Regents, Mr. Blake David. Blake, would you please stand? And the Board of Supervisors for the University of Louisiana System, Dr. Jimmy Clark. Dr. Clark. And very importantly, our SGA President, Colby Hebert. Colby, would you please stand? You know, when you combine a record fundraising year with a record level of state funding, you can create a growth juggernaut. And that's the enviable position that we find ourselves in this year. In the last legislative session that ended in June, lawmakers made historic investments in higher education funding. These investments will allow us to strategically increase budgets to pursue multiple priorities. These investments will go towards implementing our strategic plan, hiring full-time professional academic advisors to boost student retention and success, increasing student scholarships for undergraduate and doctoral degree completion. We're increasing funds for faculty travel, enhancing Edith Garland Dupre Library, further improving campus safety and security, and they will help with the development of promising new academic programs along with the needed faculty positions and startup costs. And legislative investments in higher education have also enabled us to provide for our greatest assets, and that's all of you, the people who fuel the university's success. Legislators approved funds for salary adjustments for classified employees that went into effect in July, and for faculty members that went into effect at the beginning of the academic year. Both groups received an average 4% increase. And effective October the 1st, unclassified staff members will also receive a 4% pay increase. Congratulations to all of them. But that's not all. Last year during this address, I said that the university was managing more construction projects than at any time in recent memory, and that's still the case. Only now, thanks to historic levels of state capital outlay construction funds authorized during the last legislative session, there are more projects in the work. Many will see their first public stages this fall and into the early spring, so expect to see a lot of hard hats and cranes on campus. Maximizing and improving facilities enable us to remain competitive among our peers as we vie to attract prospective students. They also enable us to better serve current students and ensure that faculty have the resources they need to shape these young minds through innovative teaching and research. Projects that receive state funding will renovate and improve traditional teaching and learning spaces and the continued build-out of the health sciences campus. These funds will renovate and modernize buildings that house vital student services. And they will renovate athletic facilities to not only improve fan experiences, but also to include classroom and educational spaces for students. There are a few additional projects I want to discuss in more detail. But before I do that, I want to take a moment to thank the people who made all of this possible. And that's Governor John Bell Edwards and members of the Louisiana legislature, especially members of the Acadiana delegation. We have several members of the delegation here with us today. I'll ask them to stand as I introduce them. The Senate President, Senator Paige Cortez. And I guess Senator-elect Jean Paul Cusson. The man who was responsible for the capital outlay primarily, Representative Stuart Bishop. Stuart, are you here? There you are. Representative Julie Emerson. Representative Vincent Pierre. And Representative Jonathan Goudeau. Thank you all for everything that you've done for us and what I'm about to talk about as well. Now, the construction projects that I mentioned are significant in terms of changing the physical landscape of campus, the enhancement of opportunities we can offer students and the public, and to the vitality of our research and economic development missions. Last year, we announced the construction of a new engineering classroom building adjacent to Madison and Oliver Halls. We received additional funds this year for that project. I'm also pleased to announce that a long overdue new sciences classroom building received initial state funding. It will be built across from the new engineering building and adjacent to Oliver Hall. And once completed, we will have built a new STEM quad facing Girard Park. The creation of this STEM quad, that's good. And the creation of this STEM quad is a visible symbol not only the individual strengths of our colleges of sciences and engineering, but of the collective power that they hold to inspire ingenuity, drive innovation, and produce results for students and for society as a whole. And I'm pleased to say that thanks to our federal partners and with the support from the state and private donors, change is on the way for the College of Education and Human Development as well. As you may remember, earlier this year, the building formerly occupied by the National Marine Fisheries Service and the University Research Park was transferred from federal to university control. Situated on 14 acres and encompassing some 70,000 square feet, this building will be the home of the university's new Learning Lab. The lab school will offer a bold, ambitious vision for learning and teaching, both for the rising educators who teach there and for those younger students who are enrolled. It will offer an education that features model teaching methods and an innovative curriculum in a dynamic learning space. And because we are also the largest producer of teachers for the state, the effect will be felt in educational systems throughout Louisiana. This is exciting news not only for the College of Education and Human Development, but the future of education in our state as well. Lastly, during this legislative session and last year as well, we received funding for 2 projects in Iberia Parish that will have benefits not only for that community, but for people worldwide. First, lab space at our New Iberia Research Center will be upgraded to a level 3 biosafety facility, which will enable more advanced on-site research with infectious diseases and fewer delays in moving life-saving measures, such as the COVID-19 vaccine, to final testing more quickly. In addition, state support will enable the development of a bio-innovation accelerator in Iberia Parish, a major booster shot for the regional economy that creates jobs in the new industrial sector. With the combined power of NIRC and the Bio-Innovation Accelerator, we can envision a future in which a drug is taken from research to testing to manufacturing and to the marketplace, with each step taking place within a few miles of each other. With the promise of 550 jobs and an overall impact of over $140 million, it's also an excellent boost for the economy. Now, speaking of good economic news for Iberia Parish, last week we learned that First Solar, the largest solar energy manufacturer in the Western Hemisphere, will invest $1.1 billion to build a manufacturing facility in New Iberia. This may be the largest single capital investment in the area's history. It means 1,400 direct and indirect jobs and an annual payroll of at least $40 million. So why New Iberia? Well, as First Solar's Chief Executive Officer, Mark Widner, explained, as we evaluated our options, Louisiana's ability to deliver the talent we needed stood out, thanks to its extensive workforce development initiatives and the presence of academic institutions such as the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, which now features a world-class solar energy lab. Now, that world-class solar energy lab is located in Angelle Hall, and the center is led by Dr. Terry Chambers. So congratulations to you. First Solar came to Louisiana because we can deliver the workforce talent, the research expertise, and the academic foundation to ensure First Solar has what it needs to be successful. And it's another example of the essential role that this university plays in regional economic development. In 1908, a decade after our founding, the university was known nationally for the quality and quantity of the hay grown and harvested on campus. It sold for $14 a ton. And in the early 20th century, this was economic impact. Well, times have changed. Earlier this summer, we received the results of an independent economic impact study that shows the university's overall statewide economic impact last year was $2.7 billion. Let me say that again, $2.7 billion. Now, that's an awful lot of hay. But it's not the only impressive figure that the study revealed. According to the analysis, the university supports 1 out of every 15 jobs in the region. Our impact on Acadiana's economy is $1.7 billion. Our community service activities generated $1.8 million. Operational spending added another $111 million to the state's economy. So for every $1 invested in the university, society gains $8 in added income and social savings. Now, anytime you can invest $1 in something and get an $8 return, that's significant. And it reflects the university's status as a major economic force. But society gains something else from the work that we do here that can neither be quantified nor underestimated. And that's the immense potential we have to make the world better. The world is made better when we encourage dialogue and understanding. The world is made better through the art and the music and the poetry that we create. It's made better through the service to others that we encourage. And it's made better by the community we build and the spirit that we bring to that community. Across the board, this university is a good investment. Students, industry partners, lawmakers, private investors can rest assured that through the university, their support will bring benefits that are often measurable, sometimes intangible, but always significant to the community that we serve. And speaking of measurable, let's consider our research and development expenditures for a moment. They are impressive, and the pace with which this spending has increased is impressive as well. As this chart shows, in 2013, the university's R&D spending stood at $62 million. And each year since, we have seen a steady and substantial climb in the record books. In 2021, we reached $181.4 million, an extraordinary 193% increase in just 8 years. And that places us at number 6 in the nation in terms of the speed with which our research expenditures have grown. It also, again, ranks us among the top 100 public research universities in the nation. But there's more good news. In 2022, we crossed the $200 million mark in R&D spending for the first time. Now, we didn't just cross it at $205 million, we crossed it with room to spare. That's impressive, and it's thanks to you. Congratulations. Now, a strong research landscape reflects the relentless pursuit of excellence embodied by our faculty, staff, and graduate researchers who continue to explore the frontiers of knowledge to make discoveries that improve the human condition and preserve and promote our rich cultural heritage. Now, as you know, R&D spending is one measure that the Carnegie Classification of Institutions of Higher Education uses to determine Research 1 status. And as you just saw, we're doing fine in that area. But we're taking additional steps to retain R1. We've revised and adopted policies that address indirect cost returns, advanced funding access, faculty salary incentives, and principal investigator eligibility. In partnership with the Lafayette Foundation, we created a $400,000 dissertation fellowship fund to help doctoral students complete their studies. That's because doctoral completion is another factor Carnegie uses to measure R1 status. And I'm happy to say that in the last reporting year, which was last year, the university awarded 91 doctoral degrees, which was a new record. And for the academic year that just ended with this summer's commencement, that number now stands at 98, another new record. And finally, we have increased faculty hiring across the university. This fall, 54 new faculty members, the most in recent memory, are joining the university. Most are tenure track. If you're a new faculty member, would you please stand and be recognized? Now, last night we had a welcoming reception at the President's house for the new faculty members. And judging by the numbers that Sodexo, our catering company, showed me on alcohol consumption, this group is going to fit in just fine. But all these steps that I've mentioned are clear and unambiguous statements of our intention to strengthen our position as a nationally competitive research university and reflect not only who we are, but also the ambitious vision that we have. Now, offering students opportunities to pursue research and service projects takes them beyond the classroom and is central to this vision. These experiences strengthen their futures by honing a sense of curiosity, sharpening judgment, developing selflessness, and inspiring their fearlessness in approaching tough questions. I'm constantly impressed by the way our students approach these challenges, and without a doubt, their boldness is enhanced through the example provided by our faculty and staff. Our students have literally conquered space, sea, and land. For the fourth time, students in the College of Engineering are planning to send a satellite into space in partnership with NASA. Others in the college built a solar-powered boat that was the only representative from the United States in a recent international competition. An engineering team's fluid power vehicle rolled away with a grand championship as well. Students and faculty in the College of the Arts designed and built an inventive structure from concrete that resembles a house of cards. And I was supposed to say, and that's a good deal, but I decided not to say that. And in addition to winning 3 Sun Belt championships this year in softball, basketball, and golf, and securing postseason play in softball, volleyball, and football, our student athletes also continue to lead the Sun Belt Conference in community volunteerism. And speaking of service, nursing students tackle the problem of food insecurity in a local town by installing a community refrigerator to provide fresh fruits and vegetables to residents. Students in the College of Liberal Arts help uncover and preserve thousands of Native American artifacts in the Kisatchie National Forest that date back to the Ice Age. For the fourth time, students in the School of Geosciences once again staked their claim as the world's, let me repeat that, the world's best in discerning where to best to prospect for oil. And speaking of the world's best, our chamber singers delivered a virtuoso performance in international competition and brought home top honors. Now, this is just a snapshot of the kind of work that our students are inspired to do because our faculty are by their sides to offer support, knowledge, and guidance. And without question, in the years ahead, long after they've graduated and gone into their own careers, they will remember these lessons and we hope invest their time in someone else's aspirations. Beyond providing an investment in students' futures, such experiences help us attract and retain students, and that's good for enrollment. Now, we don't yet have a full enrollment picture for the fall semester, but preliminary figures are encouraging. The number of incoming freshmen is already the second largest freshman class in history, and we are within striking distance of being number 1. And continuing students are up as well. That's good news for the coming year and for years ahead. That's because student tuition and fees remain our largest revenue generator. And that underscores the vital role that each of us plays in student recruitment, retention, and success. And speaking of success, commencement earlier this month ended an academic year in which the university awarded 3,225 degrees. As I mentioned earlier, the 98 doctoral degrees awarded, the most ever in any academic year. We awarded more graduate degrees than in any academic year as well. Among that total are a record number of master's and doctoral degrees awarded to students from underrepresented backgrounds, exemplifying the university's continued commitment to providing access, opportunity, and pathways to success for all students. And our undergraduates are an exceptional group, with 50 completing their degrees with a perfect 4.0 GPA. Now, I think it's appropriate that we end today's presentation with images of these graduates, because students are the most vital part of our mission, and we serve all students, legacies, and first generation. Ensuring their success is at the heart of the work that we do and that we have done for 125 years. As I mentioned earlier, more than 146,000 individuals have earned degrees from here during a century and a quarter. And we are better positioned more than any time in that long history, to provide them with the tools and experiences they need to strive for greatness in all that they do and all that they aspire to be. Without question, the last 125 years have been monumental, but the next 125 years will eclipse them. With this milestone, we stand at a crossroads of what has been and what can be. From here, we look back on our history with pride, and we look ahead to our future with purpose. And if we focus, we can see the tremendous opportunities that await us. Driven by the tenets of service, vision, and leadership, this university will continue to engage what others think is impossible, to seek new frontiers of teaching and learning and research, to find solutions to challenges both big and small, to push farther and reach higher, to build a better future for the communities that we serve and for the people who call them home. Because the state of our university is strong and getting stronger every day. And your commitment, your ingenuity, your desire to attain new heights of excellence is driving this progress. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now here's to a great fall semester, a tremendous academic year. Happy 125th birthday, and go Cajuns.